Hello, I am Brad Scott, and this is my art. And today I'm going to ink one of the sketches I've been working on. So one of the things I've always wanted to do is a shot of Tony Stark inside the Iron Man mask. Those close-ups they do of him, and he's got the heads-up displays on the side and everything, and then it's kind of focused in on him. So I've kind of sketched out what I want, and I'm going to try to ink it in the way that I'm thinking is going to look nice. I don't know if the technique I'm going to use is going to work, so this will be interesting. But let's go ahead and get started. So for this, I'm going to do a basic capture of everything with my 03. I'm probably going to use different line weights as I put the whole thing together, but I want to be able to get rid of the pencil lines, and to do that I need to know where the ink is going to go. So I'm just going to start off by doing a really light, thin sketch with my 03 over everything. And what that'll do, that'll allow me to clean up the pencil and all the graphite and still have my marks there for what I want to do later. I wish I had some questions that I could go over while I'm doing this. Because this is not a live stream, I'm going to have to think of something to talk about while you all are watching this, right? I probably should have thought of some things prior to starting, but I didn't. So oh well. But while I'm doing this, I'll talk a little bit about some of the other projects I'm working on, and talk a little bit about fan art in general, and different things like that. Talk about maybe some upcoming conventions. Well, no, because then I won't talk about necessarily conventions, because that'll kind of date the video, and I don't really want to do that. I want it to be more evergreen, meaning whenever you watch it, it still kind of makes sense. And if I start talking about actual real world near term events, when those events pass, the video would just kind of get, it's like, what is he talking about? That's already done. Durr. So one of the reasons I've always wanted to do this particular drawing is, one, to see if the way I'm thinking about doing it is actually going to work and come out visually the way that I want it to, or whether it winds up in the trash, which is a possibility. It used to be there were two things I hated to do. One, throw away a drawing, and two, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought there. One, throw away a drawing, and two, erase. I don't like my lines too clean and too overdone, because I feel like the picture loses some of the energy. So for my drawings and sketches, for sketches for sure, but like most people, they use broken up drawings. But even for some of my finished work, I prefer the broken lines instead of the nice clean line, primarily because I don't see the world as having nice clean lines. I see the world as being broken up. Might just be me. Maybe I'm a blind melon chitlin. I don't know. But I don't think anything has a nice clean line. Even, nice smooth metal parts, if you look at them closely, they're not smooth. They have hills and valleys, and because the distance you are from something, it makes it appear nice and clean and smooth, but in reality it's not. So I always prefer a broken up sketch type line, even in a lot of my finished work. Now I do use for example, as you can see, I'm doing a lot of this with a broken, some of the short broken lines that people do in sketches, but this is the finished drawing. And what a lot of people will do is they'll make a nice smooth contoured line, and it looks beautiful. It really cleans up the work, makes it look nice. And I do that sometimes, or in some instances, but usually my personal style is I like that broken up look. I don't know why, don't know where I got it from. It's just something that I prefer. That being said, no way is right or wrong. And when it comes to art in general, rarely is something right or wrong. It's either appealing to you or it's not. If it's not, that's fine. Art doesn't have to appeal to all people, and people like different styles. So I picture this drawing using a lot of deep solid blacks, and then I'm going to use the white, the silver, and the gold markers to kind of highlight the heads-up display. And that's the part that I hope comes out nice. Sounds good in theory. In theory it sounds like, oh wow, that should be pretty cool. Black out most of the picture, and then, use some gradients and some highlights. I know it would be really sharp to do digitally, because the movie part was probably done digitally. So, but making it work with pen and ink, I don't know how it's going to turn out. It may turn out to be great, and it may wind up in the trash can. So some of the projects that I'm working on that are, well, starting off with fan art. So I love doing fan art, and I think everybody loves fan art, period. It's the characters we know and love, like Iron Man, Batman, Superman, Captain America, Black Panther, Spider-Man, I don't know if I said that or not, Hulk. Those are characters that a lot of us have grown up with and we've grown to love. And fan art is fun to do. As an artist, there's a market for fan art, so you don't have to worry about what to do. The problem is, excuse me, the problem is that it's just that. Let me grab my water here for a second. Is that it's fan art. It's art that you're a fan of, and it doesn't belong to you. The IP belongs to someone else. It belongs to Millar World. It belongs to Marvel or DC. It belongs to Vertigo, Action Labs, whoever. belongs to the artists and the writers, the creators over at Image. Doesn't belong to me. So what I have to do, and what I have done, is create my own IP, intellectual property. And I have 3 things that I have created. I have a webcomic called Pretty Lady, which is about adult humor. And basically, the way one of my friends describes it, which I think is absolutely on point, pick up lines that go wrong. And it's funny because it's based on real world events that have happened in my life. And the premise is, guys, there's a lady, pretty, she's pretty, that's ergo pretty lady, and guys try to pick her up, and they are typically striking out, but they usually say something vulgar, because a lot of times as men, that's what we do. We say stupid, vulgar things to a lady we don't even know. And in the instance of Pretty Lady, she usually retorts with something, putting them in their place. Sometimes the guys have good comebacks, but most of the time it's Pretty Lady that leaves the comic with the upper hand. And I think it's funny. Primarily because, like I said, a lot of it is based on real world events that have happened to me personally. And I think that makes it actually absolutely hilarious. One of my friends asked, "Did someone really tell you that?" And I was like, yes, she absolutely said those exact words to me. So far, I have only released 3 episodes of Pretty Lady. I have about 30 in the chute, ready to go. And they're all based on a 4-panel, 1-page comic for a quick read, quick laugh. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to test out and see if what I'm working is going to work for me. So I'm going to finish this little part down here at the bottom. So I'm using these lines to kind of steer me, but at the same time I plan to black out both these sides, completely black them out. But I think if I do it right, I will still be able to see these lines after I black it out. And that will allow me to go back and put in the white highlights and the gold and the silvers. If I can't see them after I put the black on there, then of course this isn't going to work, and I'm going to have to think of a different way to do it. So I'm going to do a little quick test real quick before I get too deep in here. I'm going to take my wide Copic, and I need a piece of paper so I don't mess up my art table too much, even though I got ink all over it already. This is actually a result of me trying not to get ink on it. So if I didn't try, you can imagine what it would look like. So I usually keep a piece like this, so when I'm working on the edges, I can go off without hitting the table. And I'm wondering if I'll come over here. If I come in here like this, it looks like I can still see the line work. So I'm going to keep trying. Look like it's going to work, so I'm going to go for it. If anything, my marker will run out of ink and I'll have to refill it. But that's not a problem. I actually have a refill ready to go. But it does look like I will be able to see it, and if I bring the light closer, I'll definitely be able to trace back those lines. So that's going to be a good thing. I think that's going to work out, and I think it's going to make it really sharp. But then again, I could be wrong, and this could wind up in the trash. But as long as I can keep most of the basic lines, then I can redraw this whole thing again if I need to. So I talked about the webcomic a little bit, Pretty Lady. I'm also working my graphic novel, which is called Foreign and Domestic. Now, Foreign and Domestic is a story about some friends, a group of guys who have been friends for life, basically. And they grew up together. Once they graduated high school, they each went to the service, different branches. And while they are home for a friendship reunion, not a class reunion, but just them getting together like they normally do, something really bad happens. And it leads them to take a path. And I kind of leave it open-ended because I want the readers to determine whether they are vigilantes, whether they're heroes. Kind of like a lot of the same dilemma you look at with a lot of the other characters in comics and novels. It's that age-old question: if you take the law into your own hands, what are you? Even if people think you're justified, does that make it right? And how do you know you are right when you get that vengeance? What if you take vengeance out on the wrong person? Then what happens? Lots of moral dilemmas. And I think these are things that people live with every day. Bad stuff happens to good people, and sometimes those bad things, the people skirt the law, they get away, the people don't get justice, and that's kind of bogusness, right? Somebody hurts you or your family, and then they get away with it. And you're like, what the hell? And the first thing you think is this bullshit, right? Everybody knows this person did this thing, and yet we can't convict them. We can't get them put away. It sucks. Absolutely sucks. So that's Foreign and Domestic. And then the last thing is the movie project, and I'm super excited about the movie project. I just announced the name of the movie a couple of weeks ago, which I had been keeping it under wraps for so long. One, because I wasn't really worried about people stealing the idea, but I also didn't want a lot of input from people as far as, oh wow, why don't you add this or do this, or it would be cool if they did this. I wanted to kind of develop what I wanted without the added commentary, because it allowed me to really think through what I wanted to do. Alright, I'm just about finished here, and then I'll start blacking out. Actually, I need to erase first, otherwise the graphite will get caught under the marker, and that won't be cool. One, it'll make it harder to see the lines I want to keep, so it'll be distracting. And then two, I don't know what that'll look like. I already don't know what it's going to look like anyway, so I don't need any more not knowing what it's going to look like by the time I finish. Although I do like the way the sketch came out. I think the sketch is pretty decent. I think even if I didn't try to go for the blackout look on the sides, I could probably swing it where I could do some cross hatching or even pull out the gray tone markers and make it look kind of cool. So there's a bunch of different options, and I may try multiple options at different times to see how this goes. But I was talking about the movie project, and actually this video is actually, I'm looking at it on my computer screen over here. This one's coming out pretty good. So over the past couple of weeks, I know I keep just getting distracted. I'm trying to talk about the movie project, and I'm like, oh, squirrel. But I've been upgrading my studio art table here. Actually, I've been updating my home art table as well as my studio art table to be able to do better videos. I've been experimenting with different cameras and different mounting solutions, so that I can get a good picture, but I can also see the paper. So I can't really do an over-the-shoulder shot. I can't have a camera right here, because then I won't be able to see what I'm doing. So I think this camera setup is pretty nice. One of the ones I had before gave a good shot, but my hand was in the way. And then I had another one that gave a good shot, but then it was in the way of me seeing. I couldn't see anything that was going on. And then at first I just tried to use my phone, and that really didn't work out well. It worked, but it wasn't the best solution. The other thing I can do now is I can be creating the video while I'm live streaming, and which is probably what I should have did with this, because then I could be taking questions and reading at the same time, comments and stuff, talking about different things, and actually engage with people. And probably next time that's what I would do, especially since the time doesn't matter. There's people, I'm on the East Coast of the United States, but the cool thing is I have followers from all over the world, and I've sent art all over the world, so that's actually really cool. Actually, that cleaned up pretty nice. I like the way that came out. So I think time-wise there'll always be somebody available, and even if I was just talking to one person, that would be fine. That would be cool. I like this. I really like the way the sketch came out. I really do. So let's see what we can do with some black marker here. It's going to get messy. Now I know if I had used the ink, if I had used my India ink, I definitely would not be able to see the lines underneath. And in theory, you know what, should I even use my Copic or should I use my Prismacolor? Because, you know what, I think I should use my Prismacolors because they will definitely show the line underneath. I'm not going to use the Copic. The Copic's a little bit darker ink. And do I have enough black in the Prisma? I think so. So this is going to be tricky now. It's going to be very interesting. But there's only one way to see if it's going to work, and that's to go for it. See, the lines are showing through really good. The Prismacolor, it's funny, I like the Prismacolors, but I don't like the Prismacolor ink, or excuse me, the Prismacolor black. So with their colors, I think their colors are very vibrant. The reds, the greens, the blues, the purples. I really love their actual colors. But their black ink, I find it a little bit dull. It's not as impactful. In this case, it's going to work out pretty good because I don't want it to be super solid. Whereas Copic, the Copic black is very impactful and you get some really solid, deep core blacks. So after I do this, I may actually come back and put in some deeper solid blacks with the Copic, and I think that'll be cool. The oh yeah, I'll have enough Prismacolor. But as you can see, it just doesn't. You can tell the difference here. You see this? Flip this over. Down here, oh, marker high. Down here is where I use the Copic, and you can see it's a much deeper black. And here's where I'm using the Prismacolor, and it just doesn't have that coverage. You can see the overlap. But it's going to work out good for what I'm planning. And then for the areas that are definitely going to stay solid black, I can come back with the Copic and put in some deeper shadows. So it may actually wind up being a good thing, but time will tell. And that's part of the whole art journey, is experimenting with different things, seeing what you like, seeing what works. I'm not keeping track of time here. I really should be. So I'm just going to keep going. Well, I guess this is not a live video, so if it has to get edited, it'll get edited. I don't like editing videos. Not that it's hard. I just physically don't like doing it. Time-wise, I'd rather spend my time doing something else. But I'm definitely going to have good coverage from this, from the Prismacolors here. And I can overlap them if need be. And I know the actually, I like the way it's already starting to take shape, to be honest. Alright, I'm going to go back to talking about the movie for a second. So, as I decided to get into concept art, a lot of artists start off doing illustrations. We talked about doing the fan art and wanting to do your own thing. But sometimes when you're sitting there and you're like, what should I draw? What should I paint? And sometimes you can spend a lot of time figuring out just what to do, and especially when the only thing you have to do is somebody else's stuff. So I love Batman. I love drawing Batman. I could probably draw Batman all day. Problem is, DC doesn't pay me to draw Batman. I'm not on contract to draw Batman. I only get so many commissions to draw Batman. And at the end of the day, if they told me to stop drawing Batman, I would have to stop drawing Batman because it's their IP, not mine. So one of the art tutorials that I was following from Feng Zhu Design Studio out of Singapore, I believe it is. He also has Feng Zhu Design School, Art School. He was talking about giving yourself a project. That way you always know what you're going to be working on, and you can develop your skills on drawing, sketching, digital painting, doing concept art, coming up with concepts, coming up with ideas, so forth and so on. And so I started doing that with my graphic novel, which I actually had the graphic novel going before that. But that's really only one story to tell. It's the only story I ever wanted to do, and I didn't have a whole lot scheduled for it. But then as I was thinking about designing or creating my own IP, I started coming up with some vehicles and characters, and then I thought, wow, wouldn't it be cool if I put them into a movie and just did an entire movie setup with characters, vehicles, environments, storyboard, plot layout, maybe a script, and then get it produced, get the movie made, or turn it into a video game, depending on just what the market is interested in. And so that's what I decided to do. I actually kind of like the way this is coming out. I'm definitely liking the way this is coming out, because you can see that some of it where I got a little extra coverage in there, it's getting a little bit deeper. So I'm going to go back over some of these other areas and make it a little bit deeper black. But I've been working on the movie art, and I'm going to actually develop the entire product. So I'm working on the characters, I'm working on the environments, the vehicles, the storyboard, coming up with the plot. I'm not a writer, so I've been working with different writers, and I've been learning about writing, getting different books on how to develop plots and scripts and acts and things like that. Although I did write the graphic novel that I came up with, I don't think I have that many stories in me to just be able to say I'm a writer. But I'm really looking forward to putting this all together into something that may actually hit the big screen, whether it's on an indie or a major movie production. I'm super excited about the fact that I'm putting together an entire movie project. And so the movie is called Warrant Squad, as in arrest warrant. And the team, the Warrant Squad, their job is to find and arrest high value criminals, high profile, high value criminals, kind of like the FBI's most wanted list, except this is set into the future, not real far in the future. We're talking, a few decades into the future. And the reason I did that is because I want to give them a certain amount of technology. And one of the things I really love putting together my background is actually as a mechanical engineer, and so I love making things. I love machines. I love putting together props, which is why I'm really digging some of the vehicle concepts that I'm coming up with. But I also have to remember that I can't make the vehicles too far out there, because then it just becomes crazy. And people are like, really? You know, one of the things I also learned is it has to be grounded in some type of reality. So I'm working on that, and it's a very fun project. So the Warren Squad has different teams, and if you're following me on Instagram, you would have seen, and I would highly recommend that you go check it out on Instagram. One of the teams is the breach team, and the breachers are the people who bust down doors, blow up windows, and pick locks, and they get you into places that you want to get into that people are trying to keep you out of. Wow, I've got a little marker high going here. Woo! And I gotta tell you something, it feel good. So that's the basic drawing right there, and I love it. So this will be black, and then I'll use the lighter white, silver, and gold to do the heads-up display, and then I'll use my regular technique, and maybe a few different ones, to do the face inside of here. And then I've got to come up with a way to do the glow as we go from the mask, because like this is part of the mask, and we're looking in through it as if it was translucent, and then the heads-up display comes out. So I was talking about the Warren Squad. So I just finished putting together the breach team, and I'm trying a couple of different white markers here. I'm trying the Jelly Roll, and I'm also trying the Uniball Signo. I've used the Uniball Signo before. I think it comes out pretty good, although I think mine is empty. Oops, sorry about that. Bumped the camera. Because it's right there by my head. And let me make sure I get the focus back. Okay. So I am going to see how this comes out a little bit. And really all I needed to do is this is going to be a heads-up display, so the lines don't have to be super clean. Let me get this side done and then take a break, kind of see what it looks like. One of my friends, Holly, she does scratchboard technique. So she starts off with a black canvas, and then she draws on scratchboard. So it's actually, she's drawing in white, and her art is unbelievable. She is a fantastic artist. Some of the lines I can't see, they've kind of blended away, so I'll just have to make up something, which is fine. It's all theoretical crap anyway. I know some people are probably like, are you going to talk about the movie or not? I just keep losing my concentration onto the drawing here. But I think I was talking about the targets. So the targets that the warrant squad goes after are high value targets. These are criminals that basically have total disregard for the law. They don't give a damn. They're like, we're criminals. We're going to do what the hell we want to do when we want to do it, and to hell with everybody else. And it's funny because I do know people like that who just live and they're like, I don't care. They don't care about the law. They don't care about you. They don't care about your family. They're going to do whatever they want to do. And so they live life a certain way. So having just, a regular police force go after them is probably not the best thing. But the warrant squad is equipped and trained specifically for that type of criminal. And so they go after them. And their job is to capture these criminals. I like that. I think that's going to be pretty sharp. I like the way that's coming out. And I think when I highlight it with some of the gold and silver, it's going to be really sharp. I really do. Let me see if I can. And then some of the other deeper blacks, I go back over them with the Copic, and I think it's going to be really, really sharp. And the cool part about this is this heads-up display doesn't necessarily have to be anything recognizable. Just needs to have some cool graphics. And then if I detail out the face, I like this Jelly Roll pen too. It's pretty smooth. Lays down a nice line. I think if I wanted to do a nice clean crisp line, sorry about that, that was my alarm. It's actually, this is funny, it's actually a bedtime alarm. As I have gotten older, I appreciate the time that I can sleep. Whereas when I was younger, I never wanted to go to sleep. I wanted to hang out and party all the time. But now that I'm older, I'm like, I need to sleep. So I have an alarm that goes off at about 9:30 every day that says, hey, you may want to think about going to bed, getting some sleep. Now, I never actually, I shouldn't say never, but I rarely go to bed at 9:30. And my friend Peter always makes fun of me. He's like, I don't know why you have the alarm. You never go to bed at 9:30. You're always up. And then late at night, we'll go be hanging out, and I'll be like, I gotta go to bed. And then they'll see me posting some artwork in the middle of the night, and they go, you're not going to bed, you might as well just have stayed out with us. And I go, I know, but I have to at least try. The cool thing though is once the inspiration hits, and when you got to create, you got to create. You got to get those points on the board. And for me, this is how I put points on the board. A lot of people have asked, what does it mean to put points on the board? You're always talking about putting points on the board. Well, long story short, points on the board is going after the things that are going to make your life better. Going after the things that bring you joy. So for me, I've had a good career as an engineer, but it's not what I want to do. It's not a long-term, I want to do this for another 10, 15, 20 years. Right now, I am 49, and I'm counting down to 50. Looking forward to it. So I still have years of work left in me, but I want to be doing things that I want to do as opposed to things that someone else is telling me to do, which is why I'm working hard on my art and creating my own IP. So points on the board is when I do those things that are going to bring me closer to pursuing my own IP, and working for myself. Also, points on the board could be spending time with the family, getting your family closer, different things like that. So I think this is coming out really nice. I like the way that's starting to look. I'm definitely going to have to work on making sure people know that this is Tony Stark here in the middle. And so the mustache is going to be key. That look right there is classic Tony Stark. And also I've got to figure out a way to put the watermarks in the eyes so that they're clearly visible, and then where I'm going to put the gold and silver highlights. But I really like the way this is coming out, and I'm going to stop this video right here and say that this first part is successful, that this test is successful. And I may use this technique more in the future, where I have a drawing that's has large blacked out areas with the white highlights and the different colors. So yeah, this is cool. I'm definitely going to pursue this and finish this up. And I'll probably record, make 1 or 2 more videos out of this. I'll do another video that focuses on the face and doing the ink there, and then I'll do another video that focuses on the heads-up display and trying to make that, give it some dimensionality and fading that into the rest of it. So thanks for hanging out and joining me on this test. I'm Brad Scott, and this is my art. Peace, 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 peace. Which way is the best way to do it? Peace, peace. Maybe that'll be it right there. Peace. All right, thanks a lot.